Welcome back to another backtesting with me video. In today's one, we're going to be going over EJ Q1 2019, and basically I'm going to be going over the charts, and I'm going to be taking any and every trade that I can since it's going to be my first time backtesting something. And what I'm basically going to be backtesting is setting take profits versus my normal way of management. So how I've always been managing my trades is that I've just been trailing my stops to structure highs or lows or candlestick highs and lows, and I've always done it like that. I've never really set take profits. However, something that occurred to me recently with talking to my buddy called Callan, and he was just telling me his way of management recently, and I thought I'd actually go and gather some data and backtest what it's like, just to see if there could be a refinement here or there in terms of my management for my trading plan. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking one specific type of entry. So basically I have three types of entries that are in my trading plan. The first one is a flag continuation, a retest continuation, and then a retest reversal. Today I'm only going to be focusing on one entry, one pair, one time frame. So that's going to be basically what I'm going to be going over. And that is going to be the flag continuation, and essentially I'll be measuring think of it as a flag, and we've got the pole of the flag, measuring that impulse and then setting a take profit from there. So I'll be comparing results from setting a take profit and versus my normal way of management. So let's jump in the charts and let's have a look. Before I do any of my backtesting, I always add vertical lines while I'm on the monthly time frame, and then I sort of just group it together on the object tree and call them vertical lines. So then it's easy for me to find the start of the month. So here I'm setting an entry in the beginning of January, and you can see that we actually get a massive volatile candle. And there's two ways I'm sort of playing this. I'm playing it with the impulse take profit set, and then normal management, which is what you can see me comparing it to. That was a little bit of an anomaly because of that volatile candle. Here I'm looking to see if we had an entry. Price is looking quite corrective at the moment, so you can see me sort of just skipping through corrective price action to sending up, then sending down. I zoom out every now and then to sort of see structure on a bird's eye level. Here I am setting an entry and measuring out the impulse for my take profit, and it actually hits it perfectly, but then I manage it accordingly, and then I compare that, which is what you can see with the little red trend line. Then I'm just putting a quick note on the entry itself. So again, I'm just zooming out to see where we are in the structure. So price is impulsing up, and I'm looking to set an entry and then measuring out the impulse for take profit. I noticed that we are somewhat in a valid area because we're in this range, and here I get taken out for the full 1% loss. At this point, I'm just sort of taking anything and everything, especially since I'm sort of doing this whole comparison. Here I am seeing clear ascending and then measuring out the impulse again. And let's see what happens. And here I get taken out for a 0.5% loss. And then once again, just sort of writing something about this trade. We push up to the upside. With that ascending, we form the descending. So even though price may be moving up or down, we won't always get a setup. In this case here again, we get the setup, and I'm setting my take profit area. And this is an interesting trade, which again I'll go over at the end of this video. So every time I write notes, I kind of just put it back into its folder in the object tree to keep the charts clean. So you can see here we start to push up, and I just kind of zoom in to see if we get the entry, and I'm looking at price, and here I set the entry, took the 1% loss. Price is just moving correctively up and down. Here I set another entry measuring the impulse, which is what I'm testing. Here I find that it actually coincides with the high on the left. However, in this case it doesn't reach that high. So here I'm zooming out to see sort of where we are in the structure, and I set another entry. Unfortunately, you get tagged out for the 1%. We range around, and we start to approach the end of January. And another opportunity arises for a long, measuring the impulse, setting the entry, and again, getting tagged out. So as we go into March, I hide the vertical line. And here again, setting an entry. This time works out. And it works out for both ways, the control method and this impulse take profit method. However, you can see that the impulse take profit actually banked a little bit more, but we got to see this over a large sample of data, hence why I'm backtesting. And here I am setting another entry, measuring the impulse. Unfortunately get tagged out on this one. However, I'm straight back in at the retrace, measuring the impulse. And this time price absolutely tanks, as you can see. However, sticking to the rules here, again, I'm just playing around with the impulse. Since we got a lot of momentum, I'm looking for somewhat of another entry. And here I have another entry set, and then I measure the impulse, set the take profit. Here we go, we hit the take profit for the first one, and I'm also managing the same way as for my control. You can see very different in results. So even though we had momentum to the downside, I'm seeing this as a descending and then another opportunity to pivot to the upside. Here I get in, and method 1 starts to bank percentage, and so does method 2. So at this point, we're sort of just correcting upwards, trending upwards. So either waiting for momentum to the upside and then a setup, or a massive break to the downside. So as we're moving correctively, just waiting for impulsive candles, and here we get pushed down and we get the setup, again setting a take profit with the size of the impulse, and price absolutely drops. So in this case, what I would have set my take profit to would have already been taken out, and then I'm also managing it how I would have done originally. And you can see how I would have managed it originally by trailing my stops with candle highs, managed to bank a decent amount. So this pretty much concludes 3 months of backtesting. That took me roughly 45 minutes. Since it's only one type of entry that I was focusing on, then it was a lot more quicker. Usually a flag continuation for me, they come around like a few times a month rather than something like a retest, which can happen a few times a week. It really depends on market, but yeah, it took me about 15-20 minutes per month. And yeah, so far, like, the thing with how I'm sort of backtesting right now is that I'm just gathering as much data as I can. I'm not here to try and make as much percentage, pips, profits, whatever. That's not the point of backtesting. I'm trying to get as much data, so just entering when my setup happens, and then we'll go over it later, like how I'm going to analyze it and any findings and observations from the trades that I took. Like, it's good to have those losses so I know like what to look out for, so I know what to do and what not to do when I'm actually going to be trading this. But first thoughts on actually backtesting it is that it's too soon to say. Like, it's only been 3 months and there's still so much more data that I need to collect, and you know, I'm casting my net wide to gather as much data, especially when you're refining or you're testing something new to see, you know, is this something that's going to work with me and work with my plan? Is it worth implementing? And that's really the goal here. We'll see. You know, there's periods where setting a take profit actually is very useful, because you can see in a couple of the trades that I set the take profit and I actually managed to bank percentages, versus when I managed it normally and then I actually ended up taking a loss or a reduced risk loss. But then if you guys saw like the last trade where I managed to catch a little bit of percentage compared to if I had managed it normally, then we had an insane percentage there. But that may be an anomaly, because that could have been just news volatility, so we'll have to see. Usually I will actually backtest. How my workflow happens is I backtest seamlessly on the charts, and then I will go back and do the screenshots and the analysis, the findings and whatnot, either later in the evening, another day, but I don't really tend to do it together. I used to do it together, where I would do a month of backtesting, and then straight away I would go like input the data and whatnot. But yeah, for me personally, I like to do a bulk, a couple months, few months, whatever it may be, of backtesting, and then another day with fresh eyes, or another time with fresh eyes, I will go and actually analyze it. What is up, guys? Welcome back. I've just inputted all the data onto my Notion template. I'm using Notion to like journal my ASR and whatnot. What I'm doing now is I'm noticing there's a few losses, and I'm thinking what happens, or how would it change if I had moved my test trade to break even at 1%. So I'm currently going through all the trades to sort of see if that makes a difference. And this is such a small sample of data, it's only 3 months, so really it's something that should be tested over the year, but I'm just trying to, hypothetically speaking, like in terms of this video, sort of the thought process if I'm testing something. I always think of it as like, you know, trading strategy, sort of like a recipe for like a cake or something, and you want to be able to be like, okay, what happens if I added a little bit more flour or a little bit less sugar? And you know, if you get the measurements whack, then everything just messes up down the line. So it's kind of like a trading plan. You gotta know what you're doing, exactly what to do and what not to do, and how much of each thing. So you know, I know that I will have a 15 pip stop loss, and these are things where you refine your recipe for your trading. Pretty much all the data has been inputted, so we're gonna just quickly go over it. Sorry if the fan's really loud. So first of all, we have the profit loss test, and basically the profit loss test is me testing how well does setting a take profit at the size of the pole of the flag or the impulse, and setting a take profit for that. Profit loss test, this one's break even. This is moving my stop to break even as soon as I hit 1%. So in the first one, I was just managing it the same way, sort of as the control, and then this one is moving it to break even but still having that take profit set, and then the control is just normally how I manage now in my plan. So let's just quickly see how this works. So with the test, setting the take profit and managing it, how I do already is 19.88%, 16.63% if I start to move it to break even, and then with my control, where I just normally how I manage it is at 13.42. So that's really interesting. However, I want to stress that this is not enough data to go and start implementing this into my real life, you know, funded account, personal account, etc., etc. This still requires me to test it over a multiple range of pairs. I have to, you know, I want to do 2019, 2018, 2020 to really get like a feel of, you know, is this actually profitable over a large sample of data. This is only 15 trades. You know, I want to see how well it works over 100 trades, over 200 trades, over a course of a year. Hopefully this keeps you guys open-minded, that it doesn't matter if someone sets it to break even at 1%, 2%, doesn't matter if someone's trading with like a 5 pip stop loss or a 100 pip stop loss. You know, as long as they know that it's profitable, then that's all that matters. At the end of the day, we are focused on our plan that's tailored to ourselves. So here I really am just testing out like what it's like, and I'll definitely be going over the nature of the market, but I'm not going to include that in this video. But I hope this was helpful. I hope it gives you an insight into sort of how I'm refining and tweaking my strategy, really tailored to myself, and to just being open-minded that you could learn a lot of different things from other traders, from communities, from what you see online, but you can't just take it at face value. You really do have to backtest, pick what works for you, throw things out that doesn't work for you. At the end of the day, we are independent traders, we are independent thinkers. We can't be always copying something and then hoping that will work for us when it clearly doesn't. You take what works for you and then throw out the stuff that you don't need. So for me, I have a foundation of a strategy, which I have linked in the description, which I know I haven't really spoken about, but that's the foundation of my strategy, and then I just build upon that. Hopefully you guys took some value. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching.
Baby, this year it's just gonna be you and me. Hang by the fire and chill. Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memories.